A breaking military update. In the heart of a blizzard, Ukrainian forces didn't just ambush a Russian convoy, they erased it. The time: 03:12 hours. The Antica Corridor. The temperature: -11 degrees Fahrenheit. A 3-mile column of Russian armor pushed deeper into the storm. They were blind, driving headlong into a Ukrainian trap, 4 months in the making. In less than 20 minutes, this entire column of troops would be history. The cargo: over 160,000 anti-tank mines. A payload valued at $210 million, soon to be scattered as wreckage across the frozen canyon. But the kill shot wasn't the ambush. The fatal error was entering a battle space where the weather itself had become a weapon, a defense system honed since early autumn. Delays in Washington aid had bred Russian overconfidence. Their unit, a formidable chain of nearly 80 vehicles, felt invincible. The manifest: 42 BTR-82A armored carriers, 18 T-72B3M tanks, and 19 ammunition trucks. They used the pass as a shortcut to reposition their army near Kherson, a routine they had run for 10 of the last 11 nights. Same corridor, same hour. Moscow had declared it secure. A fatal assumption. Ukrainian intelligence, a key part of their defense, knew every detail of this global conflict. Eyes in the frozen sky. Modified Orlan-type surveillance drones, their batteries upgraded for -22-degree operations, tracked the convoy's every move. Their nightly rhythm was fed into machine learning models, wind speed, snowpack, thermal signatures, all building a real-time environmental map for this new era of modern warfare. The stakes were immense. This convoy carried a $10 million weekly delivery of modern weapons, enough to shift the tactical balance in a brutal war. A sector where Russia had already sustained over 18,000 casualties since May. The question for the soldiers was simple. Could terrain, timing, and weather be forged into victory? At 0300 hours, the answer arrived. The lead tank crossed an invisible trigger point. 20 Ukrainian drones rose from camouflaged ice pockets, hewn from the canyon walls. These were not attack drones. They were the opening move in a layered operation, a masterclass in war analysis. Each drone carried a compact heating module glowing at 125 degrees Fahrenheit, bleeding warm air into the Arctic night. The blizzard did the rest. It pulled the heat into swirling thermal plumes. On Russian radar, a ghost convoy materialized from the storm, an entire heat column, appearing from nothing. Below, the real Russian vehicles rolled forward, completely unaware of the phantom army forming above them. The first move was flawless. The trap had snapped shut. If this opening phase of warfare surprised you, share your thoughts below. Subscribe for the military news on the final stage of the ambush. The Phantom Heat Column performed its mission perfectly. Nearly 14 miles away, a Russian radar station registered a massive thermal anomaly moving north. It was larger than anything previously recorded in the Antica Corridor. To the Russian operators, it was an unexpected reinforcement column. A dozen tanks, multiple APCs, perhaps even heavy engineering vehicles. It was a complete fabrication. At 0300 hours, the radar crew sent an urgent report up the chain of command. The signal triggered a cascade of misinterpretations. Russian artillery units were immediately ordered to reposition, believing a Ukrainian armored push was forming in the storm. Entire batteries moved hundreds of yards to engage a threat that did not exist. Meanwhile, the real Russian convoy continued its slow advance into the kill zone. Visibility dropped to just 25 feet. Wind gusts hit 38 miles per hour, carving ice from the canyon walls. This was the environment Ukraine's Air Force and ground troops had counted on as the Russians funneled through the choke point. Beneath the snow, pressure sensors registered the weight of the lead tank. Each sensor, no bigger than a wristwatch, had been planted by Marines 5 weeks earlier. No GPS, no signal emissions. The cold preserved them perfectly. The data streamed to a command node 1.6 miles west of the corridor. There, a Ukrainian special operations team monitored every vibration. At 0300 hours, the team leader issued a single, quiet order. Phase 2. Mask all engines. Instantly, 8 Ukrainian hunter drones rose from concealed burrows, larger, slower, and built for electronic warfare. Their purpose was not kinetic. It was to flood the canyon with noise, emitting a synchronized suite of broadband interference that dissolved all radio communications. Within the Russian military convoy, communications shattered. Truck drivers lost their link to tank crews. The tank crews were deaf to command, a column already at a crawl. The formation was now functionally blind and mute. Ukrainian operators escalated the chaos. They weaponized the canyon's natural acoustics, deploying directional speakers. Ghostly audio replayed distorted engine noise from all angles. To the ears of the Russian troops, it was the sound of Ukrainian armor maneuvering on both flanks. Yet not a single enemy vehicle was present. Nerves frayed. Formation discipline crumbled. Then, the final move. A small Ukrainian scout drone. It descended through the blizzard, dropping 3 thermal beacons into the snow. Each was calibrated to perfectly mimic a tank's engine signature. The heat signature, 145 degrees Fahrenheit. On Russian sensors, it was an enemy spearhead materializing from the storm. Their convoy stalled. The killing zone was set. If these deception tactics in modern warfare impress you, state your war analysis below and subscribe to witness the ambush unfold. For nearly 6 minutes, the Russian convoy was frozen solid, paralyzed by confusion, terrified of the phantom Ukrainian armor ahead. In the blinding whiteout, the canyon walls closed in. Every sound was amplified, every shadow a threat. This was the precise moment Ukrainian military planners had anticipated. At 3 a.m., ground sensors confirmed it. The entire length of the convoy was stretched across the narrowest point of the corridor. The tanks were bunched up, dangerously close. Trucks had eliminated their spacing, desperate not to lose sight of one another. 3 APC drivers had dismounted, attempting to visually identify the thermal signatures ahead. From a tactical perspective, the convoy was a single, continuous, immobile target. Ukraine initiated Phase 3. Hidden beneath nearly 5 feet of snow, 15 Ukrainian demolition charges, disguised as rock formations, activated in unison. These were not conventional weapons, but directional ice fracture explosives. Their purpose was to manipulate the terrain, not destroy the vehicles directly. They fired upward. The blast sent massive, pre-weakened slabs of ice shearing from the canyon walls. Each slab weighed between 6 and 12 tons. They plunged downward, a man-made avalanche. The Russian soldiers mistook the impacts for artillery, triggering instant panic. 3 vehicles surged forward, 2 reversed. 1 tank skidded sideways, jamming the entire column. In 30 seconds, the pass was sealed from both ends. But the shaping of this battlefield wasn't over. A second layer of charges detonated higher up the slope. A cascade of compacted snow collapsed onto the road. It wasn't enough to bury the vehicles. It was enough to trap them behind a 14-foot wall of frozen debris. The canyon was now a tomb. Russian commanders tried to reorganize. Their radios were still useless, jammed by the hunter drones circling far above. A few army crews tried to escape through their hatches. They retreated instantly as new fractures spiderwebbed the ice overhead. The temperature, minus 11 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind chill, minus 31 degrees Fahrenheit. Visibility was less than 20 feet. Every minute trapped, the cold bled fuel, batteries, and the will to fight. Inside the Ukrainian command node, the team leader reviewed the final sensor data. He gave the next order. Phase 4. Bring the hammer. The ambush was about to turn lethal. If this use of environmental warfare shocked you, comment with your reaction and subscribe for the coming military update. The canyon was sealed. The convoy immobilized. The temperature continued its deadly plunge toward minus 14 degrees Fahrenheit. Ukraine's defense systems now shifted from shaping the battle to annihilating the target. At 3 a.m., over a mile above the canyon, a formation of 12 Ukrainian Spectre drones appeared. These were not decoys, not jammers. They were strike drones, an Air Force asset. Each carried a 38-pound shaped charge warhead, a modern weapon designed to pierce armored roofs, made brittle by the extreme cold. The drones descended through the blizzard in a staggered attack pattern, They used the cliff faces to mask their approach from the Russian vehicles below. Snow and wind muffled their engines. The hunter drones, still orbiting, fed them updated telemetry in encrypted bursts. Inside the convoy, the Russian crews finally sensed the new danger. A lone BTR gunner saw movement. He fired short, useless bursts into the white void. Another tank commander screamed at his driver to rotate the hull. It was too late. But the military hardware was trapped, treads wedged between slabs of fallen ice. Engines roared to life, a chaotic chorus. But the jamming signals saturated the air, severing all coordination between the troops. Diesel units choked, failing to ignite in the brutal cold. Then, at 0300 hours, the first Ukrainian drone struck. Its target? An immobilized T-72B3M, the heart of the column. The shaped charge detonated. A jet of molten metal, a product of advanced defense technology, punched through the turret. It found the ammunition racks. The resulting blast was a catastrophic event, a shockwave that hammered the canyon walls, amplified tenfold. White-hot shrapnel ripped into two adjacent ammunition trucks, a chain reaction. Secondary detonations tore the night apart. 40 seconds later, the second wave of drones descended. 3 Spectres hit the lead vehicles. A wall of fire erupted, sealing the exit. Every truck, every APC was now caged. 2 more of these modern weapons struck the rear. The trap was sprung, no escape. The canyon became a furnace, a maelstrom of fire under a blizzard sky. Fire and snow collided in violent, hissing spirals. The Arctic cold became an ally in this new form of warfare. Fuel lines cracked. Hydraulic systems froze solid, then burst. Burning debris fused with ice, entombing the wreckage. A final drone swept low. It released a thermal scatter charge. Each pellet burned at 2,000 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, a terrifying aspect of modern warfare. This area denial weapon prevented Russian soldiers from mounting any counterattack. The damaged vehicles were untouchable. In under 4 minutes, combat effectiveness plummeted by over 70%. The blizzard hid the smoke. The canyon contained the flames. The truth dawned on the Russian troops. This was no longer a fight. It was an execution zone. This war analysis reveals the brutal efficiency of modern defense systems. Share your thoughts below and subscribe for the next military update on this global conflict. By 0300 hours, the Antiva corridor was a tomb, a chamber of fire, shattered ice, and twisted steel. But the Ukrainian military operation was not over. The Spectre drones had shattered the convoy's defense. A significant portion of the cargo the mine shipments remained. They were protected inside armored carriers, insulated trucks. Destroying these weapons was the primary objective. Leaving them intact meant a future threat. The Russian army could salvage them. Ukraine initiated Phase 5, controlled ignition. Weeks prior, Ukrainian special operations teams had infiltrated the area. Hidden deep within the canyon wall, they placed 4 remote thermal lances, a testament to meticulous military planning. Each device, a marvel of defense technology, could project a 3,000-degree Fahrenheit plasma burst, enough to melt heavy armor. The objective wasn't demolition, it was neutralization, to cook the cargo from the inside. At 0300, the first lance fired. An orange jet of plasma seared the air. It struck a BTR loaded with high-density mine crates. The armor glowed cherry red, it sagged, then breached. Inside, the chemical fuses warped. They ruptured. No violent detonation, just a series of pops and hisses. The weapons were rendered inert. The lance temperatures were precisely engineered, a calculated move to avoid a chain reaction. The second lance targeted the convoy's central freight truck. It melted a clean hole through its hull. Sparks rained down on tarp-covered crates. Thin, hot ribbons of smoke began to leak out. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian Air Force assets, the remaining Spectre drones, shifted into a containment pattern. They circled low, a ring of steel in the sky, scanning for heat signatures, hunting for survivors attempting to regroup. The jamming resumed, a digital cage ensuring no distress call escaped the valley, a key tactic in electronic warfare. The Russian troops were breaking, Soldiers clawed at the canyon slopes. The ice was too sharp, too brittle. It offered no escape. Others tried to free their vehicles, digging at treads and tires. They retreated as the ice shelf above groaned and cracked. A lone mechanic waved a flashlight, a frantic, desperate signal. A plea for a ceasefire. The blizzard swallowed the light. At 0300, secondary flare-ups rippled through the convoy's core. Fuel cells cooked off, ammo boxes burst, electrical systems, fried by the thermal lances, shorted out. Mobility was now down by over 85%. Crucially, the mine shipments were compromised. This wasn't just about destroying vehicles. This was about erasing weeks of Russian logistical effort in this brutal war. Phase 5 was complete. This military news demonstrates a new level of tactical execution. Comment with your war analysis and subscribe to witness the final phase of this operation. By 0300, the Antica corridor was no longer a battlefield. It was a tomb, sealed by a raging military-grade blizzard. The canyon floor was a patchwork of fire, orange and blue flames licking at the ice. Shards of ice glittered like broken glass across the wrecked armor of the Russian army. The convoy, once a 3-mile column of troops and hardware, was now a broken chain. Immobile, burning silhouettes against the snow. Ukrainian command initiated the final phase of this modern warfare engagement: eradication. A final pair of advanced weapons readied for deployment. 2 Spectre drones cut through the thinning clouds, the heaviest models in their defense technology arsenal, each armed with a 52-pound thermobaric charge. A weapon designed for enclosed spaces, tunnels, bunkers, and in this war, a canyon trap. The drones took position, bracketing the length of the convoy's shattered defense systems. Ukrainian operators, professional soldiers to the core, synchronized the strike. A 4-second countdown flickered on their screens. A critical military update was imminent. At 0300, both charges detonated. The canyon became an echo chamber. A pressure wave, amplified and reflected, slammed against the frozen walls. The rolling shockwave crushed vehicle hulls, a terrifying aspect of this global conflict. Hulls already weakened by ice and prior strikes from modern weapons. Snow vaporized. Flames stretched sideways as the blast consumed the oxygen in violent, pulsing waves. Surviving Russian troops were knocked from their feet before the sound arrived. Then, silence. A war analysis would later show the thermobaric blast did more than just destroy. It had sterilized the battlefield. A total denial of assets, no equipment, no electronics, nothing left to recover. A decisive act of military defense. As the blizzard thinned, Ukrainian special operations teams began their exfiltration. Their portable RF jammers, which had blinded the enemy, powered down in sequence. The sensor network was erased. Pressure pads, seismic triggers, thermal beacons, all remotely wiped from existence, a key piece of their defense technology. The wind buried their tracks. By 0402, the Ukrainian team was gone. Ghosts in the storm. At sunrise, Russian reconnaissance drones finally pierced the gloom. The footage sent back was stark. A scene one command analyst, in a grim military news brief, called a total mechanical extinction event. Of the 80 vehicles that entered the pass, fewer than 5 were even recognizable. Shipments of advanced weapons, neutralized, fuel, ammunition, and spare parts were all obliterated. A critical reinforcement attempt, set back by at least 12 to 15 days. The latest military update confirmed the mission took 4 months to plan and less than 50 minutes to execute. It was a total victory. Strategic, logistical, psychological. A masterclass in modern warfare that would be studied by every branch, from the Air Force to the Marines. The storm was their cover. The canyon was their weapon, and the convoy was the lesson. If this war analysis of the final phase was informative, share your intelligence below and subscribe for more frontline military news and battlefield breakdowns.